is in compliance with the notice requirements of the law. Public notice was posted in the office of the Board of Education and communicated to the municipal clerk, the Daily Record, and the Star Ledger on January 11, 2018. Would you all join me in this meeting of I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you and welcome everyone. Welcome. Okay. The presentation, yes, please.
Okay, we're supposed to have a presentation at this time. We had a group of Northover teachers who are going to come and discuss with you, as we discussed previously, the use of interactive boards and technology and a lot of the skills they've developed in the classroom. I think quite often we take good pedagogical skills for granted, and it was a chance they were going to showcase. However, I did offer to them the opportunity to come another night. This afternoon, we weren't sure of the weather conditions. We heard everything from snow starting at 4 o'clock to 10 o'clock, and some of them had to travel a great distance. So we asked how they felt, and they were very happy to delay it for another time so they wouldn't have to be driving. I just didn't want to take advantage of people who, through their good nature, were coming to discuss with the board and end up having them in a hazardous situation this evening. So our presentation has been canceled, and we'll probably have that at the next regular scheduled meeting of the Board of Education.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Becker. I'm coming. Please have the roll call.
Mr. Bruzio.
Here.
Ms. Dot.
Here.
Mr. Sales.
Present.
Mrs. Mullin.
Here.
Mrs. Westman.
Here.
Ms. Phillips.
Here.
Mrs. Zaria. Here. Ms. West.
Here.
Mr. Steiner.
Here.
Dr. Singh.
Present.
Okay, all accounted for. At this point in time, we'd like to open the meeting to the public for any comments that you may have regarding agenda items only. There being no discussion on agenda items, I would like to move to the approval of minutes. May I have a motion?
Before we move, Madam President, I believe we were going to withdraw from the motion the executive session minutes for January 2nd. Is that correct?
Correct.
So with that amendment, would someone like to make a motion?
I move that the board recommends approval of the board's meeting minutes listed below with the removal of the executive session, January 2nd.
Second.
Roll call vote. I know it doesn't have to be a roll call.
You want roll call?
Sure.
Mr. Bruzio.
I don't think I was here for the meeting, right?
Correct.
I'm staying from both.
Ms. Dot. Mrs. Sales.
I abstained from the December regular session, and yes, for January 2nd, so committee meeting.
Mrs. Mullin.
Yes.
Ms. Westman.
Abstain.
Ms. Phillips.
Yes.
Mrs. Zaria.
Yes.
Ms. West.
Yes.
Mr. Steiner.
Yes.
Dr. Singh.
Abstained from the December, yes on the January. What we're doing
Would you like to handle communication?
Would you like me to do that?
Yes, absolutely.
We do want to explain that Ms. Janish is not with us this evening. She had an injury and actually has a cast on each ankle. So she wasn't able to attend tonight, so in her place, we just want to announce that we have a certificate of appreciation from UNICEF, the Builders Club at Dover Middle School. For many, many years has been doing this, where they had a collection at Halloween as part of their public service. They collected $211, and we received a certificate of appreciation from UNICEF for the staff member and the students for doing such a nice job.
Superintendent's report?
Oh, okay. All right.
Just keep going, Mr. Becker.
Boy, we got it. The first thing we like to do is ask for board approval for the placement and transportation for the special education placements and services as listed below.
Second. Roll call vote?
Mr. Ruben?
Yes.
Ms. Dye?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mrs. Moe?
Yes.
Mrs. Weston?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Mrs. Ryan?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Scarnio?
Yes.
Dr. Singh?
Yes.
The next item, we ask the board approval for travel authorization as per the attached list. I do want to point out that this is a pretty comprehensive list for a variety of services, everything from staff members going to Princeton, for student assistance, professionals, park training, to understanding park inside and out from some of our staff members, to leader orientations. We also have the required school-based youth services grantee meeting, and that is on January 18th. So we have a small list, but certainly a variety of activities our staff will be taking part in.
So
May I ask a question before?
Absolutely.
That's fine. I wanted to find out if we can talk a little bit about, or perhaps describe what the role of the play stage manager is.
What the role of the-
Did I skip over? Are you doing which one?
It could be
Oh, you're doing the
travel.
travel? Not one through all? Okay.
Yeah, we're up in the superintendent's report, number 8.
Okay. Thank you.
So we need a roll call with the,
This is, let me make this clear with regard to the motion. Mr. Scarnio, when you moved it, were you moving all of the personnel items?
Travel
Just the
authorization.
travel authorization in number 8.
We didn't get
just voted on 8 right now.
Just from A and B?
Mr. Ruben?
Yes.
Ms. Dye?
Yes.
Mrs. Dye?
Yes.
Mrs. Moe?
Yes.
Mrs. Weston?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Mrs. Ryan?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Scarnio?
Yes.
Dr. Singh?
Yes.
And now, yes.
The personnel, all right.
Absolutely.
We have committees that will be appointed at the end of this meeting, so at that point, I assume a lot of the committees will be working. Under personnel, number 1, we recommend accepting the following resignation. Number 2, we're recommending rescinding the contracts to the employees listed below. Number 3, we recommend a part-time custodian. Number 4, we recommend extra services at Dover High School. Number 5, we recommend approval of the substitute teachers. Number 6, recommending deducting pay for a staff member. Number 7, recommends employment of the following certificated staff members. Number 8, we recommend approval of the Academy Street Extended Day Program instructors. This is a federally funded Title I program. Number 9, we recommend approval of the following Academy Street Extended Day substitutes, and that's in case one of our staff members can't make it, we can continue services for the students. Number 10, we recommend approval of the Dover High School Title I Extended Day Khan Academy instructor. This is a new position paid for through our Title I services, thanks to Mr. Bullock's efforts. And number 11, we have the substitute for the Khan Academy program.
Do I have a motion? Thank you. Second?
I do have a,
I need a second.
you got it. Thank you.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
Okay. Now discussion?
Newbies,
Now,
right?
Ms. Chrysalis, it's okay.
So yes, thank you, Mr. Becker. You answered a little bit of my question that I emailed to you about the Khan Academy instructor. It's great to hear that it's a new position, and thank you for Mr. Bullock for finding that. Wondering if you can share what that role is with the Khan Academy instructors on 10th and 11th?
Khan Academy is the new means for teaching SAT preparation. SAT is now integrated within the curriculum and is also part of our state testing process. So everything now is connected to a degree it was never connected before. Many of our classrooms, well, it actually begins with a PSAT. The students have areas identified that they can work in, and they receive an individual plan. And many of our classrooms are now integrating the Khan Academy skills with the curriculum that they have ongoing. So it's no longer a standalone where you used to send students out for an SAT prep program. The Khan Academy is something that's integrated within the curriculum, because now you're not only focused on SAT, but you're focused on the high school testing as well for the state of New Jersey. So the instructor for this, it's already included in the classrooms, but this instructor will actually be in the library after school, and it's like an open entry program. Sometimes kids have a break between school and practice. Sometimes they just need a safe or quiet place to come into and work. So this is basically providing a person who will do the oversight, so students may come in, sign on, and do their own self-directed practice with Khan Academy with the assistance as needed. The teacher is mathematics, so there is some assistance in that area.
Thank you for that clarification. It's great to hear that. And then on point 4, going a little bit faster, I was wondering if you can give us a description of what the role is of the play stage manager.
Okay, I did put it in the agenda, but the stage manager, basically a lot of it depends on the complexity of the show. You know, there was a time where we had one person in charge of scenery, and that person was also in charge of behind the stage and the props and things like that. Now we have a stage manager who provides a great deal of assistance in terms of supervising the kids, helping coordinate them. We have more backstage students now, which is a great thing, because a lot of kids want to participate, but they may not feel comfortable on the stage. We have many more involved now than any time in our history, and I think that's great. But as you increase your numbers, and this year we are doing Beauty and the Beast, which I understand will be a challenging show. Mr. Perdue, I think I saw in here somewhere. There you go. Mr. Perdue, could you verify that's going to be a challenging set work?
Yeah, I actually upped the estimate on the budget for the second show involved. And our first day is this Saturday, and we've got some complicated set pieces, and they're moving a lot of stuff around.
So the set manager helps coordinate and orchestrate all the students, moving the props in, so you get the right things in the right positions, and things are not falling over on people. It's an essential position to have.
Thank you for answering that question.
Any other questions? Discussion?
Ms. Plessis, if I may. Still within personnel, and please instruct me if this is not a question within purview of the board. I'm curious as to how many substitute teachers we have, if that is some information you have available now.
Sure. Yeah, we currently have 20 active substitute teachers. We advertise almost weekly in an effort to recruit more. We're happy to have, maybe this could be an advertisement, anyone who knows a substitute teacher, we're very happy to bring them into the fold. But we are within the averages, but right now I think if you look at many schools within Morris County, the big challenge is trying to find enough substitutes. It's not a field that people go into as they used to. Our salary is competitive, our hours are competitive, but right now the scope of who's actually available is limited, because many people are not choosing that as a career. Many people are not doing it as a temporary career to get into teaching. So it is a challenging spot to try to find employees for it. But right now we have, with tonight's agenda, we have 20 active. Now we have a lot more than that, because we have a lot of college students who give us certain times that they're available during breaks. So we have, many more in our pool. But if you were to ask me what is our stable pool that we can pull from, it would be 20.
And you mentioned, Mr. Becker, that 20 is within the average. What would be an ideal number if we're aiming for, with this recruitment effort, for more substitute teachers? What would meet the need of our school district?
I don't know. I can't give you an answer. Because an ideal number would be never to need a substitute. It's not very real, but I think the problem is it's not where you have a continuity of how many people are in attendance every day. We have massive swings in the amount of substitutes that are needed, and I anticipate with this cold and flu season that we have, that seems to be transpiring, there are going to be days where that becomes even more challenging. We had one day the week before the break where we actually had one person, we had the same number of subs as we have teachers at Eastover Elementary School. When you're faced with things like that, that's very, very challenging to try to provide the level of services that are necessary. But that's an outlier, that's not the average.
Thank you.
Any other?
Just a comment, it's very nice to see Dover grads on the list for subs. It's nice to see us hiring our own back.
Thank you, Dr. Sander. If there are no further questions, can I have a roll call vote, please?
Abstain from 3, 8, and 9, yes to the rest.
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
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 And next, do I have a motion to approve the Dover High School Athletic Association Treasurer's Report compiled by Sean Bullock?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions?
Yes, I do. May I?
Yes?
In the high school athletic report, there is a row of codes. I don't know if this is something that can be shared in public or not. I'm curious to see. I forwarded that question to both of you and Mr. Becker. If we could have an explanation of what the codes are. And they're in the new agenda. So that means that, for example, baseball is code 20, and they go all the way down.
Correct. Yeah?
I'm sorry, Nicole?
I believe 28 is the rest.
No. Baseball 20. Okay.
Any other questions? There being no further questions, can I have a roll call vote?
Mr. Boozer?
Yes.
Ms. Dodge?
Yes.
Mr. Zales?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
West?
Yes.
Phillips?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Stoneman?
Yes.
Dr. Sanders?
Yes.
And Mr. Becker, I'm going to turn this next part over to you because I think that you would be better equipped to explain it in a way the public will understand.
No problem. Part of the state evaluation process is the CUSAC process, the Quality Improvement Program. And CUSAC, that the state of New Jersey uses to evaluate the districts, has actually been frozen in time for quite a few years now. They use the 2012-13 and 13-14 test data. Now, when we went through the CUSAC process, we were one of the few districts that actually passed every single area in CUSAC, except for the testing, because what they did is they compared 1 year to the previous year, and we did in 13-14, we had some issues in some of our grade levels where the scores weren't exactly where we would like them to be. However, it's like a moving target because the test is always changing and the demographics are always changing. I don't think you can take 1 year in isolation and fairly measure either an employee or a district. Unfortunately, that's what the state did. So what they did is they froze that score in 2013-14, and they've been using that every year since. So even though we pass everything, they're still saying, well, you got to pass 2013-14. And we say, well, how can we pass 2013-14 when it's 2015-16? well, that's just the way it goes. We'd automatically not receive the points for that. The state has acknowledged there is a problem with the process in terms of they anticipated upgrading the test and everything as time went, but they transitioned to another testing environment. So what we'd like to do with the equivalency waiver, the state has agreed with many, many districts that, okay, we come in and we do a CUSAC evaluation of you all the time. However, what we can't do is we can't pass something that's already stuck at that place in time. So the state is allowing districts this year for the first time to apply for an equivalency waiver. And what the equivalency waiver will do will actually rate us with our most recent test scores, which is a harder test, higher standards, which we would like, because we can show the progress that we've made, and we feel that would put the district in a much better position for an optimum experience with CUSAC, because we have made so much progress. What we have to differentiate is how many people meet the target score, and that's how many students hit the mark that the state has made for you. All right? And we have to separate that from what is the progress of the students, because the state measures you in both areas. And when you think about it, they really are not in sync with each other, because what's more important? Every student, the day they walk into Dover, we'll take Dover High School, the day they walk into Dover High School counts as part of our base for the pass-fail rate. It doesn't matter where they stand, their experience, their language abilities, anything else. But where we really exceed is when you look, not exactly how does that student score at the end of the year, if he's only been here a few months, but what is the progress of our students? And when you start measuring the progress of Dover students compared to the students in other districts, I would suggest that at times, even though our scores may not be as high, which is not true with Algebra I in the 8th grade, but if you look at how we're performing, actually there should be a tremendous amount of pride of our community, our staff, and our administrators, and the Board of Education in terms of what we are achieving, because our progress is so remarkable in terms of where we started and where we come from. And to me, that's the important thing. I would rather be judged on how far the students have come rather than a discriminate score that really doesn't tell you much about how far that student has progressed. So by using the equivalency waiver, this allows us, we're actually requesting to the state of New Jersey, we'd like to be judged by our last test scores, which are much harder, much more comprehensive, but we think that our attainment more accurately reflects the Dover School District than using data from 13 to 14. Ms. Schoonmaker?
Yeah, the state finally caught up and they made changes to CUSAC that technically don't go into effect until July 1st, 2018. So what happens is districts like ours where your CUSAC monitoring is during the 17-18 school year, it would be another year of still comparing the data that's getting really, really old rather than where we are right now. And the added bonus, as Mr. Becker said, is in the new CUSAC regs, instead of everything being student assessment in terms of those points that we lost on the old CUSAC, it's also just as much, 15% student assessment, also 15% student progress, and those really, really excel. So even though they don't have the official scoring plan out, it's a much better place, and it makes more sense that we're judged on where we are now.
When you look at some of our subgroups, some districts will have 15% of the students in that subgroup pass, and they get a high score for it. We have to have over 60% because of our pass record pass. So we have districts that are actually being written up as highly effective, even though their actual test data is significantly less than ours. And that's right now, the newest information is embargoed. And we look forward to being able to present that to the board once they, I don't know what the word is, de-embargo it. But at that point, I think it'll present a very accurate picture of the district and where we're going. And I think a more realistic picture than any of the data in the past. That's a moderate answer to your question.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the
Ms. Alexis,
submission?
I just have one small question. Thank you.
Well,
It should be
first I
under-
need a motion
Oh,
and a
I
second.
probably did the motion already.
Yeah, we did. A motion,
So moved.
second?
Second.
Go ahead, Lisa.
Thank you. Mr. Becker, thank you for explaining that our scores are much better and we are really making great progress. I heard you say that we are not just making great progress, but really excelling as is in 8th grade Algebra 1. And I know you've mentioned those numbers before, but I didn't write them down. Would you repeat them, or maybe Ms. Schoonmaker, what our 8th grade Algebra 1?
It's between 98 and 99% passing last year.
So 98 to 99% of our 8th graders pass algebra, that are in Algebra 1, pass Algebra 1. Thank
And our
you.
population in Algebra 1 is actually higher than many other districts around. The irony is, and this is what will be good for us to be able to explain to everybody, the problem is our Algebra 1 kids in grade 8 did exceptionally well and compete with anybody's. But when the state did its school report card, they eliminated Algebra 1 from how they measure the progress of the school. They just use 7th grade mathematics. And so it is frustrating because when you tell the whole picture, it looks quite a bit different. I understand why they did it, but don't agree with it.
May I?
Certainly, Ms. Gonzalez.
Is there any adverse consequences for using this waiver? I've heard all good things for moving forward with it. Is there any on the other side?
Nothing. There's absolutely nothing. We're requesting to be evaluated by a higher standard, which we think we'll do better on, only because it's taking us out of that lock in the past. We actually started requesting this from our county office several years ago. The county superintendent is a wonderful gentleman who took a lot of the concerns of Trenton. And I hope that we had some small impact on making this change come about. But there is absolutely no negative at all toward this.
So the only reason why we would need the waiver is because the state has not caught on to the new
Right.
standards of
This would
parking.
allow us to be evaluated by current data, which we feel is appropriate.
Thank you.
And if we don't get the waiver, we will most likely fail to use that again.
Oh, we have to because it's using that score from eons ago. Moby Dick was a minnow when they took that test.
Do you anticipate that we will get the waiver? Is this something that lots of districts are doing and being accepted?
The waiver process began last year. Many districts did apply for it and were not approved. We are relatively confident, though, because of the Schoonmaker mathematics. I think nobody does it better, and I do believe that we have a more than equal shot at being successful in this. And that's why we're very careful in terms of the equivalency waiver that you received. We're very careful with the language. We want to be sure we hit every dot, and I believe that we did. So I'm optimistic. I'm hopeful.
Good feel.
Any other discussion, any other questions? May I have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Ms. Bond?
Yes.
Mr. Song?
Yes.
Mrs. Moen?
Yes.
Mrs. West?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Yes. Ms. Woods?
Yes.
Mr. Scania?
Yes.
Dr. Singh?
Yes.
And now for Community Relations and Policy, Ms. Rosario,